The world of illegal or unofficial manga sites is quite interesting. In fact, it's something I've been interested in for a while, and I made a video sort of similar to this in tone, talking about how people don't realize just how much money anime makes. So I wanted to make a semi sequel to that about manga, but do things quite a bit differently. And I feel like people simply do not realize how crazy this world is. You might not use these sites, or you might use them a little bit and not really pay attention to things. That's understandable. So today I figured I would make a video covering a bunch of different stuff and just talking about how crazy this whole situation is. And I want to make one thing super clear, like as clear as I possibly can. Um, I am very much on the side of these sites. I am pro these sites. I think they're cool. That might limit my commercial viability as a channel, but I do not care. I think that this is a really good example of consumers taking matters into their own hands when companies completely fail and embarrass themselves. So let me break it down for you. Here's what I want to focus on in this video, in this order. I want to show the insane, and I mean insane, amount of traffic these sites can pull. I want to talk about the morality of these sites and what they imply. And I want to go over some of my experiences using these sites and my communication with said site employees. So let's talk about traffic, right? Let's start with what people like me probably will find the most interesting. What are the numbers looking like? I really personally enjoy statistics. It's one of my favorite things about YouTube. I know it probably makes me sound like a turbo nerd, but I really like analytics. I'm a real big sucker for that. I honestly wish I could log into like giant YouTubers' accounts just to look at the analytics. I don't want to do anything malicious with the information. I'm just extremely curious about this kind of stuff. So, how much is there, right? How much do you think these sites might pull? Maybe a few million, upwards of maybe a couple dozen million, with the occasional site that pops off, right? That might be roughly what you're thinking. Not quite. Would you believe me if I said hundreds of billions of views? So I'm just going to throw a number out there really quick, really just let you soak it in. 5,014,837,518. So it's a big number, right? It's hard to even visualize 5 billion. That's crazy big. That is the total view count of one page on this site out of 1,401 pages. And I don't even know if that is the total catalog of this site. Maybe this particular section just stops at 1401 and there's another 3854 out there. But 5 billion views on one page of 1400 on one website, just one, not even really the most popular manga website, definitely up there for sure. I don't want to discount them. And I don't know why I'm not saying the name. It's Manganado. I'm sure you've heard of it. And just for fun, this is not super relevant, but I just thought this would be an interesting little tidbit. At my current CPM on YouTube, which stands for cost per mil, essentially the amount of money I am supposed to get per 1,000 views, according to YouTube, that amount of views would have equaled for me roughly $31 million. So we're talking about the potential for quite a lot of money. And talking about money, mentioning the money aspect of it, well, I guess I wasn't really mentioning the money aspect of them, but theoretically, right? That's a kind of a perfect segue into the whole morality thing. So I'm going to play devil's advocate as best I can here, and I'm going to try and present both sides, even though I fall firmly on one side, as I made clear before. So, the people who dislike these sites usually have a problem because they see them as stealing and profiting off of other people's work, and I'm going to say I don't necessarily agree. All right, first of all, I do not know how much money these sites are making. Honestly, I don't. I have no idea. I could throw out completely random estimates based on other websites, ad revenue shit. It wouldn't be accurate, and it honestly wouldn't be right for me to sit here and speculate about the financial situation of these companies or these websites that I know absolutely nothing about. But I will say this in defense of them. Manga has exploded in popularity outside of Japan in the last decade, and I think a massive part of that is due to websites like these making manga extremely accessible to non Japanese audiences when the companies that are responsible for the manga officially completely fail. I should really quick before I forget, because I know if I don't mention it right now, I will forget once again. I've been saying manga this whole time, but under that umbrella, I am including manhwa and manhwa, which is Korean and Chinese, respectively, series. So there are sites that we will talk about that specialize in just Korean and Chinese things, and then there are sites like Manganado that have like everything. They have everything from everywhere. And the reason that I'm on the side of these sites is because as a consumer in the West, where I am from, it has been unreasonable for a very long time to be a manga fan, right? I will say this to you. I will admit a dark secret of my life. I own approximately one single manga, or like physical copy of manga. And I didn't mean to own it. I bought a book and they ended up sending me the like super limited edition manga version of the book. And so that's how it came into my possession. So I don't own manga. And I think physical manga is really stupid because it's inconvenient and it's incredibly overpriced. Manga in Japan is super cheap. You can go pick up, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 different little guys for the price of one hardcover book in America. However, when they're exported to the West, they're obviously subject to a massive markup. They're way more expensive than they should be. And that is if you can even find a translated version of the specific manga that you are looking for. Because chances are some of these more obscure things just aren't being translated to English in any official regard. Which leads me into my next thing about why these companies are good boys. I keep saying companies, I mean websites. I don't know why I keep saying companies. But why these sites are cool is because you can tell that they were made by and for fans of manga, right? Like none of these sites have the feel of some guy coming in realizing he could make a lot of money and just doing a shit job. These are all fans putting in insane hours to try and do as good of fan translations as they possibly can. They're hiring people who can speak Japanese and English or Korean and English. They're hiring redrawers. They're doing this all at their own expense because they want people to enjoy things that they enjoy. But with all of that being said, ultimately, it is something you have to decide for yourself. I've told you how I feel. I think these sites are good, and I think that they provide a much needed service where the companies in charge of these manga, these series, do not. I think that these companies should be embarrassed of themselves, but that's really a topic for a whole nother video. So it's up to you to make your own decision about the morality of such sites and whether or not they should exist. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about my interactions with these sites. So, I reached out to 3 different websites for this video. I wanted to see if I could ask them some questions for the video, and I'll just tell you right now, I reached out to Manganado, Osira Scans, and Reaper Scans, and Manganado just straight up never responded. I sent 2 emails, neither of them got a response. I couldn't find like a Discord contact, anything like that. So I sent 2 emails, and clearly they just went into the void. And honestly, if I don't mean to throw shade, because obviously they are not, they don't have to reply, but the reason this video is so delayed is because I wanted to give them as much time as I possibly could. So I've waited like 9 days for a response and gotten none, so I just gave up. And I reached out to, like I said, Reaper Scans, and I almost don't even want to say this because I can't prove this, and I'll tell you why. Um, but I got like a genuine schizo post in response to my reaching out to Reaper Scans. It was kind of scary. I guess I'll just tell you what happened. So I reached out, I sent them this message saying, hey, I have no idea if this type of message should go to you or not, because what I did was I joined these two sites' discords. They both have official discords. I joined them, and I basically just sent a DM to like the highest ranking person that I could find in those discords. So I sent a message that just said, hey, I don't know if this is supposed to go to you or not. If it's not supposed to go to you, feel free to ignore it or pass it on if you desire. But I'm making a video talking about these sites and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to know if you'd be willing to answer some questions for said video. I said that it could be 100% anonymous, and the questions can all be pre-screened or just completely discarded, whatever. Well, what happened when I reached out to Reaper Scans, this guy who I think is like an admin or a top moderator, at least in the Discord, replied like 5 days later with some weird thing about wanting to know who I worked for and like what my goals were and why I was attacking them in this way, which was really strange. Then I was banned from the Discord. He also blocked me. So I can't rejoin the Discord. And here's the part where it's really cringe and stupid. When I went to click, if you use Discord, you know, I went to click on names in my direct messages because you can still check DMs from people who've blocked you or you have blocked. I clicked the little X and I was like, dang it, I have to go back and reopen these DMs. And then that's when I found out, oh, I've been banned. So not super sure what happened there. I, I have no idea. I'm sure that is not reflective of their website. They're probably good people, and he was just having a bad day. But we hit gold with the third site, Osira Scans, and I DM'd like I said, the highest ranking person that I could spot, and that was someone named Blue. And I just want to really quick give like a huge shout out to this person. I genuinely really, really, really appreciate them taking the time out of their busy schedule to respond to me. They had no reason to, like I'm just some random guy saying, I'm trying to make a video. Will you answer these questions? And I really, really appreciate them being like super candid and open and telling me as many answers as they could. So we're going to get into those right now. So first, I will show you the questions that I asked. I sent them all in one paragraph, so I'll just show you the paragraph, read them all one by one. I asked, what is the pushback? Before that, I should say, Osira Scans is one of the sites that I mentioned that specializes in mostly Korean stuff and some Chinese stuff. So I asked, what is the pushback like from the Korean publishers? Have you ever been contacted by them or interacted with them at all? Roughly how large is the team to make this kind of operation function smoothly? And do you pick new series based on your own criteria, or are the new series chosen by users and then picked up by the site? And what is the turnaround time on average for chapters from when they come out in Korea to them being translated and put on the site? And finally, do you guys ever add things to series, or do you just upload art exactly how it is and then translate as faithfully as you can? So those are the questions that I asked. I'm sure if I had infinity time, I could have asked cooler questions, but whatever. So, going into the responses. So I think this is a typo. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. It says, for the first question, can't really say since I'm the owner, so wouldn't know. I'm assuming that was supposed to be since I'm not the owner. So, unfortunately, we don't know what the pushback is like from Korean publishers. I've heard rumors that some of these sites have had to deal with like mass takedown. I think I've even heard that, I don't know which site it was, but I heard that one of these types of sites was like victim of a series of DDoS attacks. So, but unfortunately, we don't know. For question number 2, which was how large the team, they have about 80 staff members. So that's a sizable team. My estimate for this question when I asked it was maybe 20 to 30 people was like my guess. And so they're over double that. 80 staff members is quite a large team. And in regards to picking the new series, they pick their new series based on their own criteria, which is based upon what users like, which is probably how I would do it. I was curious because I think some sites let people pick or vote or request things. It's not how I would personally run a site. I would do it like this: I would pick series based on my own criteria and take user feedback into account, but not let that make my decision entirely. And for the question about the turnaround time, 1 to 3 days is the turnaround time. So picture this: you are not living in Korea, you're somewhere else, and you have to stay up at like crazy hours of the night for when this series finally gets uploaded. You get the series and you have to work your ass off translating it and redoing all the art to fit your new text. And they're able to do that in 1 to 3 days. And these people, this site, I don't have an exact count on how many series they're actively working on, but I would say it's probably on average like 6 to 7 per day. So that's a lot. I mean, they're really churning out chapters. So that's pretty impressive, in my opinion. And then the last answer was they just confirmed that they translate it as faithfully as they possibly can and they don't add anything of their own to the series. So there you have it. I hope I have made you a little more interested in the crazy world that is these manga sites, manga/manhwa sites. Obviously, I'm not a reporter, and I'm not an expert at this type of video, but I hope that I was able to at least show you something. I'm sure I only scratched the surface, and I really wish that I had been able to interact more with people from these sites. Sit down with someone for like an actual like spoken interview. I think would be really cool. But I'm just a random nobody, so I'm glad I got what I got. It was cool to get a response at all. Once again, I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I have for you today on Manga Sites video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys again with another video about a movie, a Western Hollywood movie, very, very soon.